Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today. We're still ahead on Nile TV International and our today's edition of Africa Today, and on the opening of the 8th week of the Water Week, the President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi had spoken concerning the dam of Ethiopia and concerning the unilateral actions of the Ethiopian country. And he rejected all the unilateral actions and measurements from the Ethiopian country, which actually harmed the downstream countries like Egypt and Sudan. And President el-Sisi also, he added that Egypt will never stand idly by the face or in the face of the Ethiopian unilateral measures, and describing the Nile, of course, as a matter of life for more than 100 million citizens.
Egypt has reiterated that it will not stand idle in the face of Ethiopia's irresponsible approach to operating the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, stressing its right to defend its water security through all necessary measures while maintaining its commitment to diplomacy and international law. In his address at the opening of the 8th Cairo Water Week, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said Egypt's patience and reliance on dialogue should never be mistaken for weakness, but rather reflect strength, maturity, and a firm belief in cooperation to safeguard the interests of all Nile Basin states. El-Sisi criticized Ethiopia's continued unilateral actions on the dam, including irregular water discharges made without coordination or prior notification, warning that such practices violate international norms, threaten regional stability, and harm downstream nations. He renewed Egypt's call for a legally binding agreement regulating the filling and operation of the dam, particularly during droughts and floods, to ensure a fair balance between the development needs of upstream countries and the water rights of downstream nations. The President reaffirmed that water for Egypt's 100 million citizens is a matter of existence, not luxury, noting that the Nile provides more than 98% of the country's water needs. With annual rainfall averaging only 1.3 billion cubic meters and per capita availability now below 500 cubic meters, half the UN's water poverty, Egypt continues to expand major water projects such as Bahr al-Baqar and New Delta to support sustainable development and agricultural expansion. On the international level, el-Sisi called on global partners to support fair and cooperative management of transboundary rivers, emphasizing that water security is an inherent right that must be preserved through partnerships founded on justice and international law. Meanwhile, U.S. President Senior Advisor for African, Arab, and Middle Eastern Affairs reaffirmed Washington's support for a peaceful settlement of the dam issue, stressing that it should be resolved through technical means rather than political confrontation. He noted that with the dam now completed, cooperation between Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia remains vital to safeguard the shared interests of all Nile Basin countries.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and to shed more light on this, we are delighted to be joined over the phone by our prominent guest, His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Your Excellency, great pleasure having you always with us.
It's my pleasure, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Yes, well, how your point of view to invest the great achievement of the Egyptian diplomacy over coordinating and organizing the peace summit in Sharm el-Sheikh a couple of days ago in resolving the problematic and the issue of the jurors?
It is an obvious story of great success for our diplomacy. We added to many successes before, but this time we are enjoying the presidential diplomacy, where our president is from 1 hour to another, is always in contact with his counterparts either by visiting them or receiving them, calling them, and now we have a conference of more than 27 heads of state. This is a great achievement, and I think it is by itself a sort of good political and tourist propaganda for Egypt when they see that 27 heads of states are gathering there. And concerning the Palestinian question, we won several issues here. First, that we stop the war. Second, that we are again in a position to send all the needs to get there, whether it is food or fuel, water, because many children are dying of not having a good quality of water. And then for the first time with this very extreme government of Israel, that they recognize that there is a counterpart of Palestine, and they signed a document with him. Now what is ahead of us is the more and more difficult issues where we want to recognize Palestine, and we made another success in the United Nations where 159 countries voted for a Palestinian state and to stop the war. We are waiting to make exactly what is the border of Palestine and the Palestinian people. Also, another issue which is making us a little bit worried, the proposal of the President of the United States is proposing that Gaza should be managed by an international leaders, and they were mentioning the ex-Prime Minister of Great Britain, which does not have a good reputation in his own country or in somebody we can trust to manage this question. But the good news here that the American president said, I never mentioned Tony Blair as a candidate. Okay, let us wait and see, but let us say that we have achieved very important steps, and still we have a long battle in order to finish all what we want in this very important case.
Yes, we've achieved one part, one phase, but we still have like 2 other phases, and we still have a long road to go to implement the whole plan or the whole peace plan of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. And actually the second and third year is still full of obstacles and crucial phases. Anyway, coming back, Your Excellency, to the issue of the Ethiopian dam, and the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, on the opening of the 8th week of the Cairo War Week, he asserted and affirmed that Egypt will never stand idly in the face of Ethiopia's unilateral measurements. And of course, it's a matter of life and death of the Nile. When we talk about the River Nile, we talk about the life of more than 100 million citizens. So when we talk about this and referring to the floods and the mismanagement of organizing the dam in Ethiopia, and only because the high dam of Aswan and also the Nasser Lake had saved Egypt from the getting harmed from the floods. So how do you think that Egypt could actually achieve a sort of balance between the diplomatic openness and the firmness?
Concerning this question, I am relatively satisfied and optimistic. Why? Because God save us. It is a matter of God present to Egypt. The River Nile is very important to us, of course. Why I am a little bit satisfied? Because Ethiopia by nature doesn't need the River Nile, even the Blue Nile. Why? Because it is flooded by rains. One 1,600 billion cubic meters of rainwater is flooding Ethiopia. And even they do not have a system of irrigation like in Egypt. And they are all the time flooded by rains. So now they want to establish a dam to generate electricity. Okay, let us accept about that. Especially if you want to generate electricity. This means that you have to pass the water through generators. If you don't pass the water towards the north, then there will be no electricity. So they have to pass the water. Now we have two concerns here. First, that they started by saying they will establish the dam by 42 meters higher, but now they are coming to more than 70 meters high. This is annoying because the earth there is muddy and it cannot keep all this pressure of water, and we are afraid for technical reason that maybe the dam will be destroyed and then it will be a disastrous situation for Sudan and Egypt. And they do not listen to what we talk about. One more thing, that the place of the Ethiopian dam is very near to the border of Sudan, and the water do not go from north to south. On the contrary, the water goes from south to north. So they cannot use this source of water, and they cannot stop it from flooding to go to Sudan and to Egypt. More than that, the last two seasons of rains were heavy, very heavy, and on the contrary, now we are flooded with much more water that we can reserve. That's why we went to Shtushka and we went to other places in order to keep the water out of the River Nile Valley and to flood our land. Things like that. But I don't know really what is the reason behind the position of Ethiopia. It is sort of stubbornness. I don't understand it at all between two friendly and neighbor countries. Anyway, that's why our president now is saying quite clear, we will never accept 1 cubic meter to be less than our share of the Blue Nile.
Yes.
And I think Egypt is very serious about this matter. It's a matter of water and no joke about it.
It's a matter of life. It's a matter of national security. It's all the red lights or red lines that we can even add in here. So it's out of discussion. So, Your Excellency, also Egypt have been gone through a diplomatic path years ago with the Ethiopian issue and the Ethiopian dam. Now, which technical and legal mechanism maybe you'd recommend Egypt to go for, and to be compulsory for the other side, for the Ethiopian side as well, and not to be only like political rhetoric?
They do not agree, or they do not behave well concerning bilateral talks, even trilateral talks with Egypt and Sudan and Ethiopia.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
And they are stubborn here for a sort of political internal reasons. So now, because we realize that they are celebrating the start of the work of the dam, our Minister of Foreign Affairs went to the United Nations. Now we shall raise the matter at the United Nations. And here we are not talking about something we cannot make sure about this, because the international law is dealing with this matter of the international rivers. You have plenty of international rivers in Europe, in Latin America, in the Americas, in the North America, and all of them, they are recognized how we deal with such a matter of a river which is shared by more than one country. So, by all means, even from the legal point of view, we are in a very good position.
Yes. We wish that they will even listen to the sound of wisdom in tackling the issue. I mean, the Ethiopian side, of course, as well, because it's a matter of life, really, for the Sudanese country, and for Egypt, of course. It's a matter of national security, and it's a matter of life when you talk about the Nile for the downstream countries. And Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumy, former Assistant Foreign Minister, many thanks for being with us and for your insights. Well, and now we're moving into Madagascar, as the President of Madagascar, Andry Rajoelina, dissolved the National Assembly, intensifying with this action the country's national crisis.
Madagascar's presidency said in a statement published on Facebook that Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina dissolved the country's National Assembly, the lower house of parliament, with immediate effect on Tuesday. The move escalates a standoff between the president, youth-led protesters, and the military, which forced him to flee the country. It also preempts a planned opposition-led impeachment vote to force him out of the office over the nation's ongoing political crisis. By dissolving the National Assembly, Rajoelina effectively blocked any impeachment proceedings. For weeks, Gen Z protesters have led mass demonstrations against water and power shortages. They have repeatedly called for Rajoelina's resignation. In the streets of the country on Tuesday, many expressed their disappointment after the dissolution. A student commented on President Rajoelina's latest national address, saying that all the people want is his resignation, but he refuses and insists on staying in power. Another student added that they want him to step down, but he keeps pretending that there are still people who support him. Rajoelina's current location is unknown after he fled the country aboard a French military aircraft on Sunday. He said in a speech broadcast on social media on Monday night that he left the country for a safe place in fear for his life. In the statement announcing the dissolution, Rajoelina said he had consulted with the leaders of the National Assembly and the Senate, but it was not immediately clear if the move was legal. The president has ruled out his own resignation despite the nation's deepening political crisis.
Well, with this, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of our today's edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching, and from myself, Hanan El Khoury.